Okay, hello. Welcome to a very different Sabbath episode. I am traveling for work, but I thought, not going to stop me. I still want to get this done. I feel like it's really important, and today I feel like it is quite important. Um, for those of you who are in the crypto world, you may know that there was a massive, what they call a Black Swan event. A Black Swan event is like a super rare, never happens, it's unpredictable, and it has just huge, quick impacts on the entire space. What we saw today was, this is relevant to the message today. I just want to frame it. What we saw today was billions and billions of US dollars wiped in liquidation. What that means is that people who had leveraged contracts, which I want to go into the technology of it now, but basically when you have a leveraged contract, you're saying, I think the price of this coin, this asset, will go up, and I'm going to leverage it 10 times. So basically, if your investment, you put $1,000 in, let's say, and it goes up 10%, normally that would mean that you would make $100. Your asset would be worth $100 more. But with a leverage contract, what that means, if you have a 10 times leverage contract, if the price of the asset goes up 10%, you multiply that by 10, 100%, and you basically double your asset. So you go from having $1,000 to, let's say you exit at the exact moment that it hits the 10% growth, you then exit with $2,000. But equally so, if the price of the asset drops by 10%, you are what's called liquidated. So to cover, you have basically, it's more or less structured like a bet. Okay, you're betting on the price of an asset going up, which they have all been doing, and you make a lot more reward. But when it goes down, it hits a certain threshold, it gets wiped to cover the cost of the lender, basically. So that's what happened. Well, I say today, I've been traveling. It was over 24 hours ago now. And a lot of people have been struggling. I was reading about this one particular trader that took his life. And it really hit me, man. Like we were hit. I'll be honest with you, we were hit. We lost a significant portion of our of our assets. I calculated it. I'm working long hours, as you know, and it's basically 3 months of that gone. So we were hit. We understand what that means, but I wanted to share a message of hope. Okay, and the reason that I truly feel that I've been able to, I don't want to say take it in my stride, because I was upset, but not really. Because I've been praying for opportunities recently to trust in God and to trust in God's provision. I've relied too much on myself to provide for my family. I believe it's my responsibility to provide for my family, don't get me wrong, but I've been trusting in my own power to do that more than I've been trusting in God. So I've been transitioning a lot more to trusting in God, and now having, tens of thousands of dollars just taken out from under me, I've really had to test, do I trust in God? Anyway, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about. So the first that we're going to talk about is Matthew chapter 19, verse 16 to 22. So the story is Jesus counsels the young rich ruler. Jesus counsels the rich young ruler. I also haven't slept in 30 hours. So let's start at verse 16. It says, Now behold, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? So he said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. And he said to him, Which ones? And Jesus replied, You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, All these things I have kept from my youth. What do I still lack? This is the important part here. Jesus said to him, If you want to be perfect, go, sell what you have and give it to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. But when the young man heard that, when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. So this is something that I personally have been wrestling with for years, this passage. I've always taken pride in my work and my ability to earn relatively well. And I've also believed that if Jesus was to give me a command like this, to sell it all and give it all away, that, yeah, sure, I could do it. And particularly since having Charlie to look after and Hannah, being able to support Hannah to look after Charlie, this has really challenged me. If I felt a calling from God, hey, you need to sell up and give it away, would I do it? Would I actually do it? Would I struggle to do it? Or, just like this rich young ruler, would I walk away sorrowful because I had so many possessions that I was afraid to lose in following Jesus? So I'm going to follow along now with John chapter 15. We're going to start at verse 1. John chapter 15 verse 1 says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit that he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. You are already clean because of the words which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. I'm going to repeat verse 5. I'm the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you will bear much fruit, so you will be my disciples. I really wanted to hone in on verse 5 and 6. So it talks about, for without me, you can do nothing. If anyone doesn't abide in me, he is cast out, and the branch is withered. So what I understand from that, and what I take from that, is, the reality is, we can do all of these great things, great by human standards in the world. Like, look, I'm looking at sort of my older mentality where, I was proud of the work that I did, and I trusted myself to look after myself. But as we've seen in the last 24 hours, that can be taken away like that. There were tens of billions of dollars just evaporated essentially across the world in, I'm talking 15 minutes, just gone, absolutely gone. People are devastated. It goes to show that things, wealth, money, assets can disappear. You shouldn't be trusting in them. However, so that's, verse 5, for without me, you can do nothing. That's just the reality. We are hopelessly indebted to Jesus, right? Without God, without Jesus, we would be nothing. We would have no hope if Jesus didn't come and sacrifice and die and resurrect on the cross. Without God, we wouldn't be here. There would be no creation. So I think we need to realize that there's all these things that we can do and we, have learned to do as human beings, but without God, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing. So the most important thing is to follow Jesus. That is the number one most important thing. I know, like I said, I know so many people have lost so much wealth, and it has been devastating to the point where people have taken their own lives. And it is very, very sad that has happened. But additionally, I think this is a really critical moment to realize that even those who didn't get wiped, people who still have their wealth, or if their wealth is in something else like gold or hard crypto assets or whatever it is, whatever the thing is, real estate, it's still nothing if you don't have Jesus Christ. That's just the reality. If you don't have Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter how many houses you own. It doesn't matter how much gold you have. It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you're sitting on, because the day that you die, all of that is stripped from you, and you are presented in front of God, and you're asked to give an account of your life. Who are you? Why are you here? If you know what I mean, like that. These are the important questions. When God asks, "Who are you? Why are you here? Why should I let you, spend eternity with me?" You need to know how to answer that. That's just reality. Without, and going back to Matthew 19, when the rich young ruler says, good teacher, Jesus says, "Why do you call me good? No one is good but one, and that is God," right? A lot of people, when they stand before God, "Why should I let you in?" "Oh, I was good." God himself here is saying, there is no one that is good. There is no one that is good but God. So if you want to get right with God by saying, "Oh, I was good," you need to realize that there's no foundation there. It is only through Jesus. It is only through Jesus' sacrifice, only through the resurrection, that you have an opportunity to spend beyond this life with God. That's the important thing. That is the number one most important thing in this world. So the final section I wanted to talk about was Matthew chapter 16, verse 24 and 25. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." Whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. It's such a confronting verse. Truly, 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 it is such a confronting verse. Why would we protect our life, if we're doing it against the will of God? If God has called you to do something and you are rejecting him, what's the purpose of your life? It's hedonism. It's temporary things that don't matter. If you're not doing with your life what God would have you do with your life, what's the point? Why protect your life if you're going to just lose it anyway? If God tells you to do something and you actively reject him, that's not a good spot. That's not where you want to be. I'm focusing in because this is serious for my life. I'm not here to preach. I'm here to share my learnings. What's the point? If God has asked me to do something and I am not doing it, what's the point? For whoever desires to save his life will lose it. Whoever chooses their own path will lose their life. If you choose to not follow God, you will lose your life. Our God is the God of life. Okay, he's the ruler of life. He's the one that determines life. He's the one that created life. You don't have any saying. You are given the gift of life. You get to choose what you do with the life you have been given. But the King of life, God, is the one who determines whether you essentially are with him or are away from him beyond this life. That you have zero power outside of God's judgment. You've got no power at all to change that. It is only through the grace of Jesus Christ that we have the opportunity to spend life with God. With God. Our God is a perfect, holy God who cannot be in the presence of sin. There's a car. Our God is a perfect, holy God who cannot be in the presence of sin. The only way that human beings can be sin-free is by being washed with the blood of Jesus Christ. They're the ultimate sacrifice. The perfect human being paying the price of the sin of the world is the only way that we can be in the presence of God. That is a gift. That is an insane gift. Anyway, so for whosoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. Give your life as a gift back to God. God granted you your life. You are born not because you decided that you would be born. God gave you the gift of being here today. Give it back. Return what you can to God and say, this is yours. Do with it as you will. See, I recognize that I'm the only reason I'm here is because, Lord, you created me. And I recognize that without you, my future is bleak. So take my life, use it for your will. That's it. That's it. That's everything. Nothing else matters. It genuinely devastates me learning that people lost wealth today and decided that they should lose their life as well. They're living for their wealth and they've lost their lives. It is devastating. It is truly and genuinely devastating. Like I said, I understand because we lost a decent sum of money as well. But to me, the thing that determines the value of my life is not the wealth and the assets that I've been able to keep. It's what I can do for Jesus Christ. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm trying to trust God more. This is a really big opportunity to trust God more. Anyway. So if you happen to stumble across this and happen to be listening all the way through, 16 minutes in, and have not given your life to God, do it. Recognize that without God, without the Creator, you would not have been created. Recognize that without the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, you cannot be in the presence of a holy God because you are a sinful person. The Bible says, no one is good but me, Jesus. No one, where is it? No one is good but God. It's clear. It is so clear. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Give your life to God. And do it openly and fully. Say, this is what I am. Take it, all of it. Use it for your will. I want to be the conductor of none of it. That's it. So, if you happen to have been impacted by the events of the last few days and it is taxing on you, I get it. It hurts like hell. But the most important thing is not your wealth. Your wealth doesn't determine your life. Your identity in Jesus Christ is what truly determines your life. That's the most important thing. If you have Jesus, anything and everything in the world can happen to you, at you. It doesn't matter because you are safe and secure in Jesus Christ. That's what matters. So I will continue to pray for everybody who was impacted today. And I will pray for anybody listening to this that you will, if you have not, that you'll give your life to Jesus Christ. And if you have, that he will grant you peace and that he will grant you discernment in your journey. In that if you willingly offer your life to him, he will help you, make it really obvious where he wants you to go, what he wants you to do, and that you go do it. That's my prayer for anybody watching this. So, a little bit of a different one today. I hope that was beneficial.